Hello everybody, we are here with your Khepri support guide. We're going to be starting off with our Guardian's Blessing. We are going to be grabbing a shell for our laning phase, 4 health potions, and a Hand of the Gods, and then I'm going to be getting tier 1 boots instead of upgrading that shell. Gonna be heading ourselves over to that duo lane on Khepri. You can see already some of our passive, which means that what we want to do is we want to be standing by our hunter, because our passive is every 5 seconds, Khepri applies a shield to himself and nearby allied gods for 2% of the target's maximum health for 15 seconds. The rate is slowed every 10 seconds if Khepri has dealt or taken damage in the last 5 seconds, max of 10%. This means that when I'm standing by my friend here, you can see that we are both acquiring shields, so make sure you're standing near your dual laner so you guys can get that shield going nice and early in the laning phase. For our first ability, we will be grabbing our 2. This is our clearing ability. This is a line-based ability with a pretty slow travel time, and it's going to bleed everybody that it hits. And it also provides defenses to your friendly allies hit, as well as your friendly minions. So I'm gonna run over here pretty aggressive at Scotty now. Just gotta make sure I get my bleed on both of these guys. And that Scotty ended up taking some really nice poke right there. I gotta stand back in front of my Chronos. Don't think I have to throw out the shell, so I'm gonna keep it up, making sure that I throw my 2 through our friendly allied minions, as well as through the enemy. I'm going to get my root second. This is our 3rd ability because I can throw it out safely from range. And unfortunately, we've got the early Thanatos gank over here in the duo lane. I'm going to throw a late shell down just to try to avoid a Thanatos site that would be able to put us down. So that second ability, it does damage as it goes through people. It is a protection debuff and a bleed on the targets that you hit. It gives damage mitigations to friendly units. The ability we got at level 2, which was our root, is a far range ability that we can throw over walls or close next to us. And this is going to do damage and root that target for 1.5 seconds at the start of the game. So when you're throwing down that Khepri 2, make sure you are hitting your own melee minions with that so that they get a little bit tankier for the duration to help you out clear in this laning phase. Now I'm going to get my first ability, and I'm going to use it right now to show you. This is commonly referred to as Pluck. Wow, we actually got a beads and a shell right now off of that. That was awesome. This ability is going to charge you forward in a very small Sobek-like Pluck. And when you grab somebody, you are going to latch onto them, and you are going to start dragging them. You're going to start dragging them in whatever direction you're pulling them in. So if I pluck somebody like this, I'll be dragging them behind me. If I do it like this, you're just dragging them behind you. So whatever direction you pluck in, you're pulling them the other direction. This is going to do damage. That pull is going to be 1.5 to about 2 seconds. And Khepri gains a couple of bonus protections while you are in this, so you become just a little bit tankier. And also, enemies that you are plucked or that you are currently in the process of plucking are silenced. They are silenced. They can continue to auto attack, but they are silenced out of using any abilities. And so if they want to use any abilities, they have to beats, which would get them out of that CC anyway. On Khepri, I'm actually going to get Shoes of Focus. I like to have some slightly higher cooldown on my Khepri because of how much CC he has in his kit. I like to be able to get that off a little bit more. The ability that we are going to max out first is actually going to be our 2 because of the protection debuff and the damage mitigations. This is a huge potential shift in damage output for your team and it also increases your lane clear, so it's a win on all fronts. I'm going to be looking to go aggressive on this Scotty, trying to get some roots on him. I'm going to walk right over here into the jungle, hit him with the root, waiting for my Chronos to get a little bit closer. As he starts to get away, I am going to use my Pluck to bring him back in towards us. My root is coming up in just 1 second. I'm going to throw it down again, and my bleed, and that will kill the Scotty. And now I'm just going to focus on body blocking this Ganesh. Going to throw down a Pluck, my shell for my Chronos, and now we're at level 5, so we can get our ulti. Looking for the root on Thanatos. Going to land that as well, and then follow up with my 2 for the bleed damage. Now I'm going to sit here and just try to get my Guardian Blessing stacks. Now for the most important part of Khepri, Khepri's ultimate. Khepri's ultimate is a god targeter, so you can't just cast it like this, not on a god. You can proc it on yourself or a friendly, and much like Geb's shield, it's just gonna kind of choose the target that it feels like you want the most, the target closest to the middle. Be aware that this targeter can be a little funky, just like Geb's shield. Can be a little funky. What this is going to do is this is a cleanse right when you use it. So the second you use that Khepri ultimate, it is going to cleanse any CC that the target has on them. After that, it is going to give them bonus movement speed. And for the next 5 seconds, if that target were to perish, if they were to die, they will be resurrected on Khepri's location. Not where Khepri was landing, not where Khepri was standing when they went off, but where Khepri is standing in the moment as the res travels to them. The res does have a genuine travel time, which means after you res somebody, if you like dash away, you can bring them farther away from harm and closer to safety. Our standard combination here on Khepri is pretty simple. When we're going aggressive, we throw down our root from a far range. This is going to allow us to get into our Pluck range. So we root them from afar. We throw down our 2 on them to reduce their protections, giving them that protection debuff, so our team does more damage. And then we follow up with the Pluck to make sure that our team has even more time to let a beat down go onto them and try to grab that kill. When we're going defensive, our standard combo is going to be to try to throw down a 2 on our friendly unit so they get those percent mitigations, and then to just immediately pluck off the target. If they're ranged or if they're melee, we can use our root to get them out of melee range. Obviously, the root doesn't really help your friend if the target is ranged, because they just continue to auto attack from a range. So the root is better aggressive than it is defensive. Throw down the root there in Agni. He's going to have to do a dash into the mid lane. So we've got ourselves our cooldown boots. Like I said, I like a little bit of CDR on Khepri because of how much CC that you have, as well as how strong your ultimate is. As long as your ulti up, theoretically, people on your team are up. Then we're going to be moving ourselves into a Gauntlet of Thebes, because we're a support, and Gauntlet of Thebes is still one of the best support items, if not the best support item in the entire game. Enemy missing left. Gonna keep throwing out my 2 and my 3 for a wave, clear, and poke. And right now I'm just standing by my Izanami, trying to get him farm, trying to get him safe XP, while I just kind of sit around, throw down some wards, while I'm waiting for another couple hundred gold to finish up my gauntlet. On Khepri, our ability order is 4-2, and then you kind of have a choice. You want to get your ultimate whenever you can. You want to get your 2 max out first, but after that, you do have a choice between your 1 and your 3. It's really going to come down to your play style. I oftentimes like to get the root first. I'm going to look towards the back line, see if any of my teammates are going to need any peel. Not gonna. Oh, I am gonna be able to get to this. I throw down my res over the wall on the Pele, which means he is going to be able to get away. I'm gonna throw down my shell on my team right here and try to pluck myself out of harm's way. So I throw down my ultimate on the Pele, which means the enemy team knows that if they kill him, while that glowing effect is on him, he will just res, so they let the Pele go. I throw down the shell, and our Arthur grabs 2 kills, and then he dives the tower. And so he's gonna die from that. But overall, it ended up being a much better trade than it would have been. So I ended up upgrading my 1 right there, just because I thought I was gonna end up using it for some bonus damage in the fight. And then I ended up using it as a getaway skill. Really, either of these will work. I would say I level my 3 slightly more than I level my 1, specifically because your 3, your root, you can always use aggressively with no consequences. Your pluck, you can't necessarily always use aggressively with no consequences, because it is also your only getaway skill. So I typically find it safer to just rank up that 3 to max. A good place to die. Get a little poke on that Agni. Speaking of poke on Agni, not going to be able to get into him because there's a Ganesh there, but Pele don't care because she's got CC immunity in that ultimate. So our goal on Khepri is priority number 1. Our goal is peeling. Khepri is one of the best peelers in the game, and in my opinion, is the best support in the entire game right now. The reason why I think that is because Khepri happens to have 2 things that almost never go together in Smite that are really important right now. And that is early game lane clear and late game team fight peeling. He has both of them in spades, and most of the time you usually get one or the other. Think about Geb. Geb has such an incredible, like 20-minute team fight, peeling for his team, setting up, initiating, and just garbage lane clear. Or think about the reverse of that. Think about somebody that has really, really good lane clear. Who comes to mind? Somebody like a Ardio, who has really good lane clear, but her team fight at the end of the game as a support, she struggles to kind of do her job because she really ends up needing a solo laner build in order to get the peeling and the aggression off. And by the time you have a support build, you end up kind of falling off by the late stages of the game. But her early game clear is so strong because she's got 2 of each ability, so she can just go through the wave. But she doesn't scale into the late nearly as well as the others do. Wow, what a good Ganesh ult. So I threw down my shell right there onto Pele to keep her alive. Unfortunately, she got stuck on the pillars and ended up dying very quickly, even with that shell on her. That was a great Ganesh ultimate. On Khepri, you'll be pleased to know that most of our abilities do in fact go through walls. Our root will go over walls, so we can throw that right over to try to cap somebody. Our 2 also goes through walls, so if you root somebody over a wall and then throw down the 2, you can see those little bleed numbers coming up on them. You can also use this defensively through the wall as well in order to give one of your teammates those mitigations. I'm going to throw down my ultimate there onto Izzy to get her out of that stun of the Agni and to give her that bonus movement speed to try to get away. That way she can't hopefully die right there, and she will be able to get away.
I got your back, brother.
On Khepri for his good and bad matchups. In the laning phase, Khepri really doesn't have any bad matchups. That's because he does have genuinely such good clear with his 2. But as we move into the later stages of the game, the number 1 thing that's going to hurt Khepri is executes. And they've got a Thanatos on the other team, which is a great example. Executes go through Khepri ultimate. So while Khepri ulti will revive you when you die as long as it's still on you, it does not revive you even if it's on you if the way that you die isn't execute. So this goes for anybody, Ao Kuang, Thanatos, Achilles, any of these boys will go right through that Khepri ulti. So you have to be careful about using Khepri ult against these gods. I will note one particular exception, which is that you can actually stop Ao Kuang execute with Khepri ult That one comes down to whichever one is used first loses. So for those that don't know, Ao Kuang has a small little like stun animation that plays before his ultimate execution goes off. So if he's in that little grabby phase before the actual execute where he flies in the air, then he will, you can use the Khepri ultimate as a CC remover in order to cleanse somebody out of that. Compared to something like a Thanatos, like that, which is literally just lands and executes, and there's no way to stop it. I'm gonna look back around at this Thanatos, try to get in front of him, see if I can't do some body blocks or something. Yo! A great Ganesh silence right there is going to actually stop my Pluck from hitting him. So executes are the #1 thing that is annoying for you on Khepri. I'm gonna go get us a ranked up Heavenly Agility, a Sentry Ward, and I'm gonna rank up my Shell. So our third item I went into was a Relic Dagger. I love Relic Dagger on supports, particularly on Khepri. I've got good defenses from my Thebes. It gives me a little bit of HP, and it's gonna give me my Heavenly Agility and my Shell up way more often so I can peel for my boys. I always get myself a Relic Dagger on Khepri. So I'm going to rank up my Shell next. Since I got the Relic Dagger, it's going to be on more often. I want to make sure my team is getting those block stacks. As far as God that Khepri is good against, we talked about how in the laning phase he really doesn't struggle particularly with anybody. But what he's really good against is characters that rely on one big damaging ability. If they rely on one big damaging ability and you know that you're going to have Khepri ult to just peel for you, then it kind of prevents you from doing what you're best at. So if you're going against, say, a Hebo, and Hebo's about to knock up ulti somebody, well, the second he throw down that knock up, you can just throw your ulti right onto the target. The Hebo ultimate comes through. Oh, darn. Doesn't matter because your target's going to get rezzed, and now Hebo's out of position with his ultimate down, and the character is still alive. More important, though, than the matchup specifically for Khepri against gods being good or bad is going to be the pairings with Khepri. This is more important than any individual matchup. You are the support. Your specific matchups aren't as important as your team. So what you really want to do is you want to pair Khepri with high damage, high aggressive characters, because you're going to allow them to play way more aggressive than they would normally be able to. Especially characters that maybe don't have a getaway skill. A perfect example of this is going to be the latest god added to Smite, Suki. Because Suki doesn't really have a getaway skill, but he does so much damage, Khepri is the perfect pair to run with him because you're going to be able to allow your Suki to play confidently, go use all of his abilities, use his ultimate to dive their back line, and the second that he gets back there, you just throw down your own ultimate on top of him, and you'll be able to peel and keep him alive. So a little tactic that you just saw right there. I threw down my ultimate onto the Pele. She actually ran back into the battle to die to make sure that she procced the Khepri ulti because it gave her more HP than she had beforehand. Because you are going to res with increased HP depending on that level of the Khepri ult. 25 to 45% health. One of the reasons why it's super important for us to rank up this ability. So looking at their team comp, they got 1 physical, 2 physical. They've got 3 magicals and a lot of healing. So I'm going to grab me... I'm going to start working on a Pestilence after I rank up this shield, this shell, and then I'm going to start grabbing Sentry Wards as well to keep helping out with that.
Holy shit! You're on fire!
So I need anti-heal for against the Chang'e, for against the Thanatos. I'm sure the Scotty will be building the lifesteal as well. I'm going to try to throw down a root onto the Thanatos. I'm going to land, plus I'm going to get the bleed. Now I'm going to try to follow up on this Agni, see if I can reach him. I'm not going to be able to, not yet. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to switch my target over here onto Chang'e, wait for her to use her ability. There it is. Now she is going to be rooted right there and dead. I'm going to continue chasing. Izanami is going to have to get out of this one. And that fight went fine and dandy for us, besides the fact that we are losing our tier 2 over in left lane. So I'm going to walk over and try to stop that. He's backing up. That is fine. We should actually go for the Gold Fury. We got 2 dead. We got the Scotty backed. I'm going to start up this Gold Fury. Agni might be here, but I do have my shell up for that. I'm going to try to save my 3 and my 1 to help try to burst down this Gold Fury at the very end. Unfortunately, the Ganesh is going to be able to walk up and get it with a 1. That's just unlucky. We had better secure than he did. Now we've got a root all the way maxed up, so the last ability we're going to get maxed out is our 1. Going to back it up once again. Continue to work on that pestilence. Make sure we're grabbing that sentry ward on every back. Sometimes a sentry ward and a regular ward. Now that the Gold Fury is down, we got to make sure we've got the vision over by that fire giant. They just countered our ward over there, so I'm going to start heading over, making sure to keep the vision up on the important objectives. Pyromancer is pretty low, not going to be able to get it. Throw down a little damage reduction for my Arthur right there. We've got the actives up, but I don't super want to have to use them. I just mostly want to counter this ward right now. I'm going to see if I can't bait these guys to kind of stay around. See if I can't get Chang'e to use her 2. Now that she's used that, I'm going to try to follow up with my Pluck. Pluck is not going to land. I'm just going to try to keep her zoned out so she's not going back to her base, which is going to give him a time for my Izanami and the rest of my team to get here. That's her ultimate down. That is fine. Throwing down the Heavenly Agility for the chase. The root is down. The shell is out. And we are committing to this fight. Thanatos looks like he might land on me, so I'm going to try to dodge out with the Pluck. He does miss the Thanatos ultimate. Throwing down the root deep, trying to zone that out. I've still got my ulti up. Got to be a little bit careful about my mana at this point. I do think Thanatos might come around the back. Pele has gone all the way in, which means she's trusting me to have the ulti for her if she needs it. Gonna pluck Chang'e right here with the root. That should be enough to get him. And now in the back line, Thanatos knows that he's there. I'm gonna try to give him the damage mitigation just in case it's enough to let him live. And Thanatos is gonna get out of this once again. They are split pushing up in that left lane. Somebody's gotta back and try to defend that. Looks like Pele, unfortunately, is still gonna die, but what are you gonna do? Gonna use my dash to try to catch up to this guy a little bit. Our Izanami might be able to get in range over here. I'm a little bit worried that if we chase too hard over here, they'll actually start up the fire giant, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let that go. So in the team fights, you can see that step 1, I'm trying to get a little initiation up with my root, maybe for some actives. Try to get a squishy target in position for my team to kill. After that, we are then switching on to peeling duty. I'm focusing on my carries and trying to make sure that I can get their assassins, whoever's diving the backline, off of our carries. This particular game, I have to keep a keen eye on Pele because her ultimate will obviously dash her in, bring her out of position, but as long as I can throw down my ulti on her, then she has 5 seconds of free time to just try to lay down as much damage as possible. I'm gonna throw down a little pluck there on Agni. That is going to get his beads. I throw down my ulti onto myself. They put a bunch of damage onto me, so I just threw down my ulti onto myself so that I would res from that. And now that I'm back up, I'm looking pretty good. We got the Agni beads down. We got the Thanatos ulti down as well. I'm going to try to root out that Agni, try to throw down the 2 for my team to give them those little mitigations. And I'm going to keep trying to dive through this. I don't think we're going to make it to that Thanatos. Maybe I can go help out my... Ooh. Gotta be a little careful. Got some mitigations for him right there. I'm going to throw down the root. It's not going to be enough in order to peel for our Izanami, and unfortunately, looks like Arthur chased too far, and the Thanatos doesn't get the kill. Our Kronos chased the Chang'e, but couldn't kill her either. And so what should have been a really good fight for us ends up actually being a bad fight because the team got too greedy and then ended up chasing out in too many directions. So now we've got our Pestilence online, which is going to give us that little bit of anti-heal. Help out with some of these boys.
You're on fire.
Next up, I'm going to be getting myself into some percent mitigations. So I'm gonna get me a Spirit Robe. Looking in the back line for the Thanatos. I know he's ulting because he's got the marker on him on Pele. Unfortunately, no way for me to stop that ultimate from happening. I was just hoping that he was going to miss the ultimate, and then I could peel off with my abilities afterwards. 24 minutes into the game, they're pushing down the tier 2 tower. Obviously, as the support, there's not too much I can do about that. And they're gonna go get the Gold Fury, but we can't contest the Gold Fury 3v5. So I'm gonna head over to the Fire Giant and throw down my ward on the Fire Giant so that we've got some vision over there. That's gonna be a much more important objective for us to have knowledge on. I'm gonna back up immediately to go start up on another Sentry Ward. That way, as soon as they come back to counter that, I can immediately go back and counter again, trying to stay one step ahead of the enemy. As far as a little tip on Khepri, do keep in mind that you can change the direction, albeit slowly, but you can change the direction of the character that you're pulling. So if I try to go for this Chang'e right here and I pluck him, I can move my camera angle and it will slowly move the direction of the guy that I'm fighting. I'm gonna throw down my ulti there on Arthur so he lives, waiting for him to respawn. Then I'm gonna give him a shell and a shield, try to get him out of this. Unfortunately, he's not gonna be able to, but it does put their entire team in a really awkward spot. Waiting for the Chang'e, I'm gonna pluck him. I need to watch out for the Thanatos ult. Unfortunately, he's gonna land down on all three of us. They put a lot of damage into our solo laner, which almost let us win that fight because they put so much into one of the tankier characters and we got the res off on him. Unfortunately, that was a really good Thanatos ult there at the end of the fight on top of three of us that got an execution and then 2 stuns, obviously, from the other 2 guys. So we're going to keep working on that Spear Robe. After Spear Robe, we're going to have a lot of options. Our defenses right now are solid. 158 and 211, plus we've got 3k HP. So it's probably going to be something, if it's going to be defensive, it's going to be along the physical defensive route, even though they are 3 magical and 2 physical. It could be something like a sovereignty, help out the team, give them some protections. Or it could be something more selfish, like, say, a High to the Nemean Lion trying to get some block stacks. I'm not feeling like the block stacks are super important in this match. Thanatos, more of an ability-based damager. Even Scotty, as far as hunters go, one of the more ability-based damagers as well. So block stacks will not be particularly important for this game. Walking back over to the Fire Giant with that Sentry Ward. Try to keep one step ahead. I want to try to get to the Scotty. I'm distracting 2 over here, which is great because there's no way for them to kill me. I'm just going to try to keep this Chang'e here. I really think the team should show up to this. We've got 2 dead. I can continue baiting them for a very long time while the rest of us get here. They've only got 3 people up, and one of them is their support. I'm waiting for the Kronos. I'm going to pluck the Chang'e now. The Ganesh silence comes out. Thana is in the air. That is fine. Unfortunately, they used the Thanatos ult and the Khepri, or excuse me, Thanatos, Ganesh, and Chang'e ulti all on top of me. I'm not sure how the Pele died, because they did use 3 ultimates on the support, which should be really good for us. So the boys should be able to win this fight. This is basically the best thing that you can ask for as a support player, is to have the entire team ulti on you, and it looks like Kronos, Izzy, and Arthur will be able to clean up on that little fight and grab us this tier 1 tower, maybe even a tier 2 tower, but now it's a 3v3. But it's Kronos and Izanami, 2 of the best tower pushers in the game. So they're gonna be able to grab that. It should give me a bunch of gold, which is going to allow me to pick up a Spirit Robe, and by the time I respawn, I'll be able to pick up another Sentry Ward. And you know what time it is. Time to head back towards the Fire Giant, where we're going to be standing for most of the rest of the game. So what I was doing right there, which is something that you can very much do on supports as you enter the late stages of the game, is sometimes you can bait your body. The more abilities that they use on you as a support, the better. If they force stuff to get used and then they don't have it up for the team fight to kill a squishy, that is great for you. I gotta throw down my ulti, unfortunately, right there onto the Izanami already. And I'm gonna have to back up really quick, grab another Sentry Ward on my back, and unfortunately it looks like Pele is gonna get picked off. Now we've only got 3 people up, so we're gonna have to back it up. I don't think we're gonna be able to defend the Fire Giant unless Arthur can teleport in, but his teleport isn't actually ranked up, so we're just gonna have to defend on the Phoenixes. Not gonna be able to go for a Fire Giant defense. Now that it's time to defend Phoenixes, time to get some defensive sentries out. Get those sentries all up in your jungle to make sure you have as much vision as possible. Looks like my Arthur could be in trouble in the mid lane. He's going to get caught out right there. Our Pele is still dead for 10, so they're going to come straight down for this Phoenix. I'm going to try to get the Magi's off of Thanatos. Not quite going to be able to do it. Gonna throw down my 2, my Shell, and my Heavenly Agility for the Izanami, trying to keep him alive as long as possible to get him through this. Thanatos is coming around on the side, so we are gonna be able to force his Magi's. I'm gonna keep my eye on him, maybe force him to run away on the side right there. And we lose the Phoenix, but we don't lose any of our gods. So we stay alive for yet another moment. Here on the Phoenix defenses on support, you want to be kind of in front of your team, but you don't want to move too far forward where you're able to get picked off. And so it's kind of your job to move up so your team can go behind you, but you have to make sure you're positioning yourself smartly. So that way, if you get up too far, that means your team's going to be up too far, so you're kind of putting them out of position as well. So you just got to be a little bit careful with it. So I'm going to be putting myself still in the Phoenix range, but pretty close to the front of this Phoenix range. So you can see where the Arthur's going. That is way too far forward. There's no reason to be out that far, and so I'm not even going to follow him out there. I'm going to keep myself right around this Phoenix range, so that way if somebody gets out of position like this Ganesh, I can throw down my ulti. I'm going to try to keep the Pele alive. She's going as hard as she can in the back. Let's get her all the way back out of that fight. Still need to be careful. No reason for us to push up. And now we're going to go ahead. And somebody's got to collapse on mid, which means I'm actually going to go back to left. I'm going to try to get as much damage on these creeps as I can to stop them from being able to free run into this Phoenix range. Still going to try to get the Magi's off of Thanatos once again. There we go. Going to throw down my 2 for the clear on the creeps. We keep these creeps alive. We got a decent chance of keeping us alive. Not going to be the case, so let's go ahead and back it up. I got to watch out for the Thanatos. He wanted me in the back line extremely badly. And because everybody is dead, they're going to be able to walk down and slay this Titan. But I bet we got a lot of damage mitigation that game, as well as, of course, we probably had like 10 or so reses that game. So we finished up with the Sovereignty right there because obviously you can see that the Scotty and the Thanatos damage was starting to become pretty strong. The Thanatos started to snowball a little bit out of control. And so at the very end of the game, if I would have sold an item for my boots, it probably just would have been another % damage mitigation item, something like a Oni Hunter's Garb to help me out against the burst damage there from the Agni, as well as giving me the % mitigations in those team fights to stack up against the Thanatos guys. And that is your Khepri guide with your final build.